Hine el shtiftach v'lo evchad ki oziv izin ratya Adonai v'hi Yeshua u'shtafte mayim v'sason minei Yeshua l'Adonai ha'Yeshua m'cha b'chatecha sela Adonai tzvod imanim izgav l'anu he'kov sela Adonai tzvod asher gam boteach bach Adonai Hoshia ha'melech yaneinu v'yom koreinu
Lady with her reciprocity.
Haydim haytora v'simcha v'sason v'ika kenti elanu kos Yeshua desau v'shem Adonai ekra savrei manan rabbanan rabbotai Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam borei pri hagafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam borei minei b'samim Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam borei me'orei ha'esh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam hamavdil ben kodesh lecho ben or lechoshech ben yisrael la'amim ben yom hashvi l'sheshet yimei ha'maaseh Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil ben kodesh lecho.
Amen. Shavua tov.
Okay, label, one more voice test. I think I see our quote-unquote technician on, but can I, Masha, you hear us, right? But we don't hear you.
Okay. Stay loving.
Okay. We'll see if I'll go into my story.
No, we're not.
And maybe our backup expert will be able to figure out what's happening.
Meantime, Masha, you try your volume, all the different volumes there in Zoom and in, yeah.
So this Shaila was presented by a school teacher, a teacher of approximately third grade. He took note one day that one of his students came in with a beautiful pair of new shoes. And the next day, he noticed that another child in the class was wearing a similar or the same pair of shoes. And the first boy, we'll call him Daniel, was back to wearing the shoes he used to be wearing in class, although they looked a little bit better than previously. And so he caught Daniel in a private moment, I guess, before recess. And he said to him, you know, yesterday I saw you had a new pair of shoes. And today I see you back to your own shoes. And I see that Ruvain, he has a pair of new shoes that look a lot like the ones that you used to have. He says, yeah, you know, he's a good friend of mine. And I noticed that he's been wearing the same shoes, you know, for a long, long time. They were so worn out. Even the soles are separated from the shoe itself, and it's wintertime now. And he's told me that his toes get freezing because his shoes are worn out. And so, you know, my parents got me this new pair of shoes, but my old shoes are really pretty good. I spent a lot of time cleaning them up, getting all the dirt off of them, polishing them, and they look good. And so I gave him my shoes. And they said, and your parents, they didn't say anything to you? He says, no, you know, I did a good job cleaning up the old ones. They didn't realize it, at least so far. So the teacher asked whether or not he has to inform the parents. Because if this is an 8-year-old boy, And I'm going to just let's say, Masha, can you unmute yourself right now? If unless
She
our,
is unmuted.
I mean, to mute. Actually, maybe it's not. I'm hearing some background noise from somebody, so I don't know if our technician, maybe it's not going to want me to ask you to mute, but okay, it's okay by me. So anyhow,
Microphone.
uh,
Okay, that should be more than enough.
Hello?
oh, Masha, I hear you.
Okay,
Oh.
thank you.
All right.
Oh, you're in the red.
No.
Mosh, you're in the
Okay,
red.
thank you so much.
Okay, just hold on, and I'll finish up momentarily and give you back to you. Okay.
Hello, can you still hear us?
Yes.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Okay.
All good.
Okay. Thank you, Larry. Okay, so let me finish the story, and then we'll have a little musical entertainment. So, so the teacher wants to know if he is obligated to tell the parents about what happened. I mean, obviously, it's such a beautiful gesture for the child, and it actually complies. It's not that he gave his old pair of shoes to the child, and here he buffed them up so nicely and everything. He could have given the old pair of shoes. He really fulfills what ordinarily would be a fulfillment on a very high level of tzedakah, of giving the best of what we have to somebody who is in need. And this child has done this. This 8-year-old child has done this on his own to help a friend avoid both the embarrassment of these ripped shoes and the coldness of the winter. What a beautiful thing. But nevertheless, he's 8 years old. His parents spent money on the shoes, and they probably didn't mean for him to give the shoes away the day after he got them. So Rabbi Silverstein cites in the Shulchan Aruch, actually brought down in Halachas of Shabbos, that I'm going to read you a quote. Katan ochel nivelot. The way the Shulchan Aruch actually words it, if a young child was eating non-kosher food, ein beitin mitzuvim lahafrisho. The Jewish court is not obligated to stop him. And the Jewish court, it also would be the same status for anybody else other than a parent. A parent has a higher level of obligation, and then there are times that others don't have that obligation. But the Ramah does add a comment, and the Ramah says that we have to define what we mean by a young child. Like, there are different degrees in young child. It's not just that the child's not bar mitzvah yet. You have a very young child, like a toddler, and then you have a child that's almost at an age where they understand the differences, between right and wrong. Maybe more like 6 and 7 years old, and then you have older than that. And this child is really in the highest level before being bar mitzvah, 8 years old already. He's in school and he has a good head on his shoulders. So, he probably is. He probably is in a higher category, which then, according to the Ramah, if the child was engaged in something that was prohibited from the Torah, then you would be, obligated to separate him. But the Ramah stuff doesn't address that. What I told you about the ages actually come from the different sources of understanding. It's not so simple when we say a young child. The way the Shulchan Aruch is written itself, it just says simply a young child, which could be understood as below bar mitzvah age, which this boy is. And and then the Ramah says that he hasn't gotten to a chinuch. That's true about the Ramah. It's not 100% agreed upon. Rav Silverstein actually presented this question to his brother-in-law, Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky, and Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky ruled that the teacher is not obligated to tell the parent, that based upon the plain reading of the Shulchan Aruch, without starting to go into the different ages, that number one, the plain reading of the, was that this minor child is not, you don't have to stop the child. I'm being literal in the way that Shulchan Aruch is written. And he said that in addition to that, this is not really an act of theft, because that's what the question is, like, whether the child is sort of, stealing his parents' money by giving away property that he's not really the owner of. He didn't, pay for his shoes. And, and if anything, this is, such a beautiful deed. And generally, when we're talking about separating a child from a prohibited action, like eating non-kosher food, you're saying the action that child is doing is something that never, should be done. And, I mean, life and death, okay, if you have nothing else to eat, life and death, so we suspend everything except for the 3 cardinal sins. But this particular act, well, technically it could be viewed as stealing, but it's the kind of act that we want to have a child grow up appreciating, to act in such a way. So Rav Kanievsky's response was actually that the teacher is not obligated to tell the parent, and in a private way, just to compliment the child, not to embarrass anybody else, just to compliment this child for what he was doing. I would say, on my own, I didn't have opportunity to research it more, but the Shulchan Aruch, well, and maybe this is part of what Rabbi Kanievsky is relying on in terms of his response, because the Shulchan Aruch does talk about somebody who is in the midst of or about to do something that is improper and on a Torah level, which is not technically the case that we're discussing tonight. The act has already been done. Yes, the question is, should something be retrieved or not, but it's not exactly the same. I'm not sure how Rabbi Kanievsky views that difference, but it's something that I think needs to be clarified. I on my own, if I didn't read Rabbi Kanievsky's response, I would have thought that in a very admirable way, I might alert the parents. I mean, they probably would become aware of it on their own in a little while.
Know that the kid doesn't have shoes.
At least the mother, right?
Where's your new shoes,
at least the mother. But they should be aware, and it's a delicate thing, because you certainly don't want to deflate the child's enthusiasm and sensitivity to the plight of his friend, who's sorely lacking or solely lacking in a certain way with the shoes that he has. But so this would be a little bit of the dynamic between the written response and maybe some other thoughts. But certainly Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky is a giant of Torah law. And it's beautiful to know that there are Jewish children who can be so sensitive to the needs of others that they're willing to give away something that's brand new and they were very excited about, but were more excited about helping their friend be comfortable. So Shavua Tov.
So you're saying, in other words, like the parents won't give him the boot, huh?
Okay, Label.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're still engaged with us.
Oh, yeah. Still
Okay,
good.
I will hear your
Finally.
voice.
All right. In dem Beis HaMikdash, Ilvim Chal Cheder, Siehst Yomana Bastion allein. Ihr bin Yochidi Dalavich Seder und sing uns zum Schlafen a Lieder schön. Und ein jedes Wiegele steht der klar weiß Ziegele. Das Ziegele is gefahren handeln. Was wird sein dein Warum? Rajenkas mit Mandeln. Zehidele Schloss, Zehidele Schloss, Yidele, Yidele, Yidele My Zadie,
Live with us.
my Zadie lived with us in my parents' home. He used to laugh, he'd put me on his knee. He spoke about his life in Poland. He spoke with a bitter memory. Oh, he'd speak about the soldiers who would beat him. They laughed at him, they tore his long black coat. He spoke about a synagogue that they burned down, and the wine that was heard beneath the smoke. But Zadie made us laugh, and Zadie made us sing, and Zadie made a kiddush Friday night. And Zadie, oh my Zadie, how I loved him so. And Zadie used to teach us wrong from right. His eyes lit up when he would teach us Torah. He taught us every line so carefully. He spoke about our slavery in Egypt and how God took us out to make us free. But winter went by, summer came along. I left for camp to run and play. And when I got back home, they said, his aid is gone, and all his books are packed and put away. And I don't know how or why it came to be. It happened slowly over so many years. I just stopped being Jewish like my Zadie was, and no one even stopped to shed a tear. Oh, but Zadie made us laugh, Zadie made us sing, and Zadie made us Seder Pesach night. And my Zadie, oh my Zadie, how I loved him so. And Zadie used to teach us wrong from right. Many winters went by, many summers came along, and now my children sit in front of me. And who will be the Zadie of my children? Who will be the Zadie if not we? Who will be the Zadies of our children? Who will be the Zadies if not we? And Zadie made us laugh, Zadie made us sing, and Zadie made a kiddush Friday night. And Zadie, oh my Zadie, how I loved him so. And Zadie used to teach us wrong from right.
Yeshikaya Chlebo, thank you very much. You know what? That was a perfect song for this Motzei Shabbos, because in our Parsha, our Chazak Parsha, just a couple of psukim before the end, Yosef is described as the father, the grandfather, the great-grandfather, the great-great-grandfather. So that perfect song for this week. Yesher kochacha. Shavua tov, a good davach to everybody.
Good luck.
Shavua tov.
Yeah. And at 8:30 tonight and 10:30 tomorrow morning,